Welcome to the Woodwork Lathe module. Within this module, I will identify the main parts, go over setup procedures, and I will demonstrate how to operate the lathe in a safe and correct manner. This tool is very unique in that some users fall in love with this tool and cannot wait to use it, and others just do not care for it. Personally, I favor this tool and jump at every chance I get to turn a project. Because of the nature of the tool, once the initial balancing of stock has been accomplished, the cutting and designing procedure is very therapeutic due to its creative and gentle nature. This is mainly due to the subtle nature of the operations involved. Using this tool, one can make various cylindrical objects such as legs for tables, vases, bowls, whistles, canes, etc. If the object is cylindrical, then you can turn it on a lathe. Now let's get started with identifying some of the relevant parts of the lathe. This is the control panel which houses the on and off switch. The green button is for starting the machine and the red button for shutting it down. This assembly is the headstock and it houses the driven pulleys and belt which control the speed at which the lathe spins. This bit locked into the headstock is the spur bit which engages into one end of your workpiece. This assembly is a tool rest and post. On the tool rest, you would rest your cutting tools during operation, and the tool post holds the tool rest in place, and it is locked by the tool post lock, which is a smaller lever. These two parallel cast iron surfaces are referred to as the lathe bed, upon which the headstock and tailstock are mounted. This portion of the lathe is the tailstock. Like the headstock, it engages the live center into the opposite end of the piece of stock that is to be turned. The point that you see is a hardened piece of steel that is press fit into a bearing which allows it to spin freely during operation. The live center is locked into place after it has engaged the workpiece via the lock handle. It is turned clockwise to feed the live center inwards and counterclockwise in order to retract it. Now let's begin the setup procedure for mounting a piece of stock on the lathe. First, start off by taking the spur bit release tool and insert it into the headstock and forcefully push against the butt end of the spur bit. Repeat this action until the spur bit becomes loose and then remove it from the housing. Once you have the spur bit, you are ready to prepare your piece of rectangular stock for mounting. The first step is to take a ruler and a sharp pencil and very accurately draw a line from corner to opposite corner on both ends of the workpiece. Then take your piece of stock and mount it in a vise such that one end faces up. Once you have done this, you should have an X formed on either end. Grab a backsaw and cut as accurately as you can along the two lines. Cut to a depth of about 1/8 of an inch. Then grab a wooden mallet and your spur bit, align the 4 spurs with your cut grooves, and then very carefully hit the spur bit end so that the spurs engage the grooved lines. The spur bit may have to be hit several times in order that it seats properly. After the block has been prepared, we will now take the end with the spur bit and insert it into the headstock. The opposite end will be set up such that the center will be lined up with the live center point. Once it has been aligned, the live center base lock will be applied and the feed wheel will be turned clockwise until the live point is 1/4 of the way engaged into the workpiece. Then the live center lock will be applied. The last step for setup is to orient the tool rest assembly. Take the tool rest lock lever and release the tool rest. Adjust it so that the topmost portion of the tool rest is aligned with the point of the live center. Once you achieve this, lock the handle for the tool rest. Now, take the tool rest post and adjust the tool rest such that it is as close as possible to the stock without touching. Once this has been achieved, lock the lock handle. Before starting the machine, just spin the blank by slowly turning the assembly so that you can see if any corners of the stock are going to interfere with the tool rest. Remember to never grip the handle when testing, as you can pinch your fingers in between the tool rest and the piece of stock. Now that we are set up at the machine, let's look at some of the different tools that one can use on a lathe for different procedures. As this subject is very vast, for the purposes of this module we will only use the roughing gouge. It is the largest of the lot and it enables us to quickly turn our block into a cylinder. Like any power tool, before use, all safety gear must be worn, such as a face shield, and all loose clothing and accessories like lanyards must be tucked in. Place your right hand on the trailing end of the handle and your left hand on the leading end of the handle. Make sure you maintain a firm grip. Maintain your physical balance at all times when using a lathe and concentrate only on the task at hand. Angle the trailing end to approximately 60 degrees and slowly raise the trailing end until the blade tip starts to cut. Once this happens, maintain this angle and move end to end along the length of the workpiece. Do this until you achieve your required diameter. Once it no longer cuts, just move your cutting tool inwards towards your workpiece until cutting happens again. Remember not to take aggressive cuts, as this can cause the tool to kick up and pose a danger to the operator. This concludes the Woodwork Lathe module. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience.